So as a naturally more quiet and reserved person, I always had it in the back of my head that maybe it's just more difficult for me to make high quality, long lasting friendships than other people. Like growing up, I was very used to hearing people tell me like, why are you so quiet? Like, why don't you ever say anything? As if that was like helpful or constructive to me in any way, as if that like didn't just make me feel worse. But yeah, despite having like quite a tight but small circle of friends in school and university, like I had friends, I was always kind of worried that, people would always see me as this background guy. Like, I'm just not as memorable as other people. People don't want to be my friend because I'm too quiet or too introverted. And this was especially a worry for me, like leaving university, because there's always things going on at university. It's pretty easy to be social there. You can just like rock up to different societies and there's always parties and stuff going on, but not having those like social outlets and opportunities coming out of university and into like working a 9 to 5, it was a worry for me because I knew, like I'd heard people say, it's very difficult to make friends as an adult. But I'd actually say that I've been able to maintain a pretty good social life despite being like a deeply introverted person, despite having like a lot of anxious tendencies. I've been able to meet some like really cool people just going about my daily routine, just like living life, doing things I would usually do, striking up conversations with people. And yeah, that's despite being a really introverted person. So I wanted to just kind of share a couple of tips on how I managed to achieve this without like changing who I am, like not trying to be someone else, not trying to act all extroverted, just kind of like just being myself, as corny as it sounds. So I've got 2 tips for you. So I'll just launch straight into it. The first step is we need to treat showing up to a social event or venue as a win in itself. Just showing up is something we need to celebrate. So one of my biggest problems when it came to like my social life in general growing up was I would put a lot of pressure on myself. I'd have like massive expectations for what I wanted to do, and that didn't necessarily like match my level of like, I don't want to use the word confidence, but like my level of like social comfort and social skills. So like say I wasn't getting invited to parties all of the time when I was in school, but I would go to like the occasional party. Because it was like a once in a while thing, I'd go in with the mindset like I need to make something happen. I need to talk to a lot of people. At these parties it was like people from different schools, it was girls, and I only really had like a small circle of friends. And I looked at like other people as my way to get invited to more parties and, have an exciting social life. So I'd go in with like the idea that, I'm going to be really social. I'm going to talk to loads of people, and I'm not just going to talk to them. I'm going to be really funny and charming and entertaining. The girls, I'm going to be talking to the girls and like all these ideas. But then when I go in there, I need to be like really drunk just to even feel comfortable like looking at anyone in the eye. I remember just being like so uncomfortable in my body in this environment with loads of people. There's like music playing. And it would be even worse with like a nightclub or something like that. I just couldn't even like process things in these like socially demanding environments. And I would just stay glued to my friends the whole evening. I wouldn't even talk to anyone. Now the brutal reality of this was that like I was just setting myself up for disappointment every time. Because not only did I like not have like a real goal, I just had some like vague idea of how I wanted to act, which was probably like based on me watching too many TV shows or like films or whatever. I'm going to be the cool guy. Not only did I just not really have like a goal in mind, the brutal reality was that like that just wasn't my level. I hadn't like been through enough. I hadn't had enough practice in my social life to be comfortable in an environment like that, to act the way I wanted to act. So of course, if my expectations are like right up here, I'm always going to be disappointed. And I just absolutely loathe myself, and I get so frustrated and like just angry To the point I'd honestly feel like crying sometimes, because it's like, I just hate myself. Like, why am I so awkward? Why can't I talk to people the way I want to? The thing is, if I reframed my expectations, and this is kind of like, this is going to sound like a bit unglamorous. Not everyone's going to want to do this, but this allowed me to make so much progress in my social life. If instead of having like a vague goal up here, I instead set like a clear goal, and it was a goal that I could manage, that I could achieve, then I'd probably feel like pretty good. Like, I could probably meet that target and actually like have some positive feelings that I could build on. So I heard this from one of my mentors for the first time. This was like a guy I was working with, like a coach to get better at social skills and talking to girls. And he really helped me with this. So he said that, you know, for someone who's like, you know, they're going out all the time, you know, they go to loads of parties, they have like lots of social skills. A target for them could be to, like, I don't know, talk to 10 girls in one evening, because that's their level. But for a person who is socially anxious, has some real introverted tendencies, and spends a lot of time at home, honestly, just showing up to the venue, or showing up to some activity where there's other people, or going into an environment where there's a lot of people, even if they talk to no one, surely that is a win. Because the alternative is, you know, they're just sitting in their room, they're just doing nothing. If that's what they're usually doing, then going into like, you know, like a party, a place with like loads of people, or like a new club or activity where they don't know anyone, that is massive. That is a massive achievement. Like, that's not something we should overlook. If you don't have like that really exciting social life at the moment, if you're not used to that, then just showing up is honestly like a great target. Like, that's something we should celebrate. That's something we can build on. Some people are probably like hearing this and thinking like, you know, how am I going to make friends if like my goal is just to show up? Like, show up, sure, but not talk to anyone? Like, we're not going to set a goal to do that? Well, the point is, and like, I've used this many times, I even use this now sometimes. Sometimes I just do not feel like going out. Like, I'm not even just talking about like nightlife or, you know, like bars or places like that. I'm talking about like just going to places where I know there's going to be a lot of people. Going to the gym, going to the cafe. Sometimes I really don't feel like doing that. And that's when my goal just shifts to like, I'm just going to show up and see how I feel. Like, I might stay there for 10 minutes and decide I'm not having fun, I'm going to leave. But just showing up, setting the target like on the floor as low as possible. If we meet that target, then we're going to have some like positive feelings. We are going to feel like pretty good. And then once we've met the target, we can see what happens from there. The target might change because we've made the effort of going there. We'd be like, you know, we're here now, I might as well talk to one person. Talk to one person and see what happens. And I've done this before. I've like gone to the pub or the bar on my own, gone to some events completely on my own, and I told myself the whole time, the way to motivate myself was like, I'm just going to show up and see what happens. No obligation to stay. But then once I get there, I'm almost tricking myself. I'm like, okay, I might as well talk to one person. And the point is, like, even though this seems like a bit counterintuitive, you know, these targets not too small, these targets are great if you're a socially anxious person, if you're more reserved by nature. But like, keeping our expectations grounded, that's what allows you to build up momentum. That's what allows you to like make like small but steady progress and feel good about ourselves. This is how because if you do this consistently, I guarantee you're going to make at least one friend. If you're doing this like three nights a week, it doesn't have to be like a club or activity. Genuinely, like for me, I could be working on my YouTube scripts at home, or I could choose to do that in a public space, in a cafe. Even if I don't talk to anyone, even if I go there and I work for an hour, I don't speak to anyone, the opportunity doesn't come up, the odds are still like 100 times higher that I am gonna like strike up a conversation than if I stayed at home. So it's just putting yourself in those situations consistently, even if your expectations are on the floor. You have a much better chance of meeting people, particularly in places where people are going there to socialize. So yeah, treat just showing up to the place as like a big win. Because honestly it is, it takes effort to go and put yourself in situations where there's like lots and lots of people. That's been like a really useful tip for me for making progress. So the second one is, and this is like a pretty unorthodox kind of tip, but hear me out because this has honestly changed my life. It's to go and travel places by yourself. Go abroad, take a solo trip, even take a day trip to somewhere you've never been before, completely on your own, and see what happens. So I only started going on like solo trips and holidays by myself because I was just annoyed by my group of friends at home. They were impossible to organize. We've been trying to like go on like a beach holiday or something, but the plans just kept falling through. And I was like, fuck this, like I've got a bit of money in my pocket. I'm not going to waste my life anymore. I'm just going to go where I want to go. And I went to Portugal on my own for the first time. And I booked like a hostel to stay in. And I've been told this hostel that they like run activities. They give you like free dinners. They make it pretty easy for you to meet people. But still the whole time I was like just really, really worried that I'm not gonna meet anyone. You know, I'm just gonna be on my own in my bedroom the whole time. But I promise you, like on every trip that I've done this, I've made friends just like without even really trying, like without putting in too much effort. Like it's kind of crazy to me. Like I've made really great, cool friends who I actually am gonna see again. I'm going to Barcelona next week and I'm catching up with one of my friends who lives in Brazil and we've stayed in contact. The crazy part is I just didn't have to put in that much effort. And there's a couple of reasons for that. So, I mean, the reason I love this in the first place is it's just the right amount of like challenge. Like you still have to get out of your comfort zone and talk to people. And it's still like, there's still like a lot of reward involved. Like your chances of like making friends are still very high. But in terms of the reasons, this is what I found straight away. People traveling are just like really, really open. Like not like back here where people are a bit closed off. People who are also traveling, they're like really willing to socialize and like talk to you and do things without like you really having to like persuade them. So yeah, I used to think, before going on this trip for the first time, I remember thinking like, yeah, I'm just going to be in my room the whole time. No one's going to talk to me. But I put myself in those situations. I went to all the activities, the places where people were meeting. And get this, everyone else is in the same position. Everyone else has that same thought running through their head that like, if I don't talk to people, then I'm just going to be lonely. I'm not gonna like have a good time on this trip. So everyone's got the same idea running through their head. So everyone is so open and warm and like willing to talk. Like a couple of friends I've met on this trip, I met them and like within a minute, I'm like, let's go and see this, or let's go get food here. And I'm like, sweet, let's go along. So it's like back home, everyone has their guard up. When you're traveling, it's like you're speed running friendships. Like everyone is so fucking open. It's amazing. And secondly, you kind of become a different version of yourself. You become a different version of yourself. Now, what do I mean by this? It's like, I kind of believed I would be like my normal introverted self, but even I started opening up more. And I don't 100% know why that is. I think there's a couple of reasons. I think almost this idea of like going places where no one knows you, where like no one like knows your history, no one expects you to act in a certain way. There's no like expectations from the people you grew up with or people you live around. You can kind of just like be whoever you want to be. There's no like pressure to act a certain way, and you just naturally start to like open up. Obviously everyone's there on like a trip, you know, your mental health is good because you're enjoying yourself, you're relaxing. So you're more of like a positive, warm person. And I often think like, maybe the reason is just because, maybe this is the whole reason. If I make a mistake or I do something awkward, or I mess up, I know it's not a big deal, because if I don't want to, I'd probably never see any of these people again. Like, I don't have to force anything if I don't want to. So this just like takes the burden off my mind. Just makes it a whole lot easier to talk to people. So right, I can see my camera is literally about to die, so I'm going to end the video here. If you want any like extra help with any of the things I talked about in this video, I am offering free coaching at the moment. Book through the link in my bio. Any kind of social problem, I'm just going to listen without judgment, see if I can help you. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.